Howdy, y'all. Activasol on Roids here with another nuclear-powered rant. That's Activasol on Roids, kryptonite for conservatives, and this time, centrist, corporatist Democrats. I'm off my rocker, on my roids, and on the warpath. Here we go. It's been a long time since I've made my last video. I've largely avoided all the fighting that's been going on, but most of that's due to the fact that I've been so damn tired from working 7 days a week, third shift, in the hottest part of the fucking country outside of Arizona, in an oven, and 115 degrees indoors, and quite literally giving up on every other aspect of my life outside of my job, just trying to get ahead. You know, because of this, my YouTube channel has been suffering. It's been suffering for the past few years because I literally feel like I've been kicked in the balls every fucking day from just busting my ass. But because I had the last day or so off, and because I have tonight off as well, which it's very rare to get 2 consecutive days off when we've been working 7 days a week straight since at least February, I decided to go ahead and just make a video on, well, on my opinion regarding the Democratic primary. Now, there are a few things in this world that can really make me re-examine the way I do things, because you know what, I'm a simple guy who likes simple things. My car is simple. That's why it's gotten me from point A to point B. You know, that's why I only bought something, because it could get me from point A to point B. I didn't give a shit about having any of that big fancy garbage with $700 car note and all that junk. You know, I didn't care about that shit. This is why my apartment, the rent here is only like $380 something, and you know, most people would say, oh, that looks like shit, and that looks like shit. I don't care. It's cheap. It's cheap. It's cheap. My cell phone, guess what? It might be a contract cell phone, but it's the cheapest damn thing I could get from Verizon. The very cheapest fucking thing I could get. You know, so when people, you know, my philosophy in life can be summed up as this: live simply so other people can simply live. Why? Because I believe in future sustainability. I breathe and live future sustainability. Otherwise, I wouldn't be so much of a freaking bean counter when it came to things like resource retention, especially at work, especially in life. Now, that being said, I've had to eat my own words over the past couple of years from watching the Democratic Party and its treatment of Bernie Sanders. And I would like to take this time to issue an apology to M. Draw and everyone that I basically lambasted back in 2014 after the midterms. You guys were right, I was wrong. End of story. No, not end of story. I got my, you know, I've never been that wrong in my life outside of maybe the time in which I was a member of the Libertarian Party for a year and a half. That's the last time. Well, actually, I was a member for 2 years, but okay. That's the only other time I can remember in my life in which I've been so fucking wrong about one thing that I've had to eat crow over it. And I have to say, from this day forward, I can't see myself as a Democratic Party member anymore. I just can't see myself supporting the Democratic Party outside of maybe the most progressive candidates. Now, I'm fortunate that a Bernie supporter happens to be our congressional district's Democratic candidate. All right? I'm fortunate that I have someone to vote for on election day. That being said, I will, from this day forward, I believe that progressives must do everything within their power to ensure that the only Democrats that get the nomination and that the only Democrats that get sent to Washington happen to be part of our camp. We've been screwed over, sidelined, and our vote in places like New York, Rhode Island, and in California during this primary season have been marginalized. The Hillary camp and her surrogates within the leadership of the DNC and her surrogates within the leadership of the state parties have done everything they could to make sure that our vote, that our influence within the party was completely neutered. They insinuated that Bernie Sanders was not a real Democrat, even though he had the endorsement of the Vermont Democratic Party when he ran for the U.S. Senate back in 2006. When he won in 2006 as an independent, he still had the endorsement of the Vermont Democratic Party. He was the co-founder of the Progressive Caucus of the Democratic Party. But Hillary Clinton insinuated that he wasn't a real Democrat. And like a bunch of fucking retards, every single one of her supporters, the same motherfuckers who, and I do mean motherfuckers, and I will say this, I will say I don't give a shit about their feelings. I don't. Because these people have never really helped the Democratic Party, or for that matter, progressivism in any real way, in any meaningful long-term way. These people, Clinton supporters, these so-called new Democrats, they will sell out on economic issues just so they can achieve something on social issues. But here's the thing. Social justice isn't social justice if you don't have economic justice to go with it. Economic justice, without economic policies in place to address poverty, to address the lack of health care, to address employment levels, without economic policies that are sound, that take future sustainability into consideration, without fair trade as opposed to just free trade and corporate tax havens for people like Hillary, Panama Papers, TPP, without sound economic policies across the board, you know what happens? More poor people are produced. More poor people, the gap between rich and poor rises. And because poor people typically tend to become religious extremists, they're more susceptible to religious extremism, they wind up being a breeding nest for social conservatism, which ultimately becomes the progressive movement's worst antithesis. Okay? This isn't rocket science. But somehow Hillary supporters believe that, if we can, Hillary will give us everything on social issues, and that'll somehow make it better. Well, here's the problem with that. Hillary Clinton only really gave a damn on any social issues when she was forced into it, when she was literally drugged, kicking and screaming by the electorate, by changes in the electorate. She never took a stand on anything. She had no problem being a Barry Goldwater girl back in the 60s when she was still in high school. She had no problem being against gay marriage. She had no problem being against legalization of marijuana at the federal level. She had no problem with any of this garbage, with any of these regressive social policies, but you somehow think that she's really going to give two shits about social issues if they don't get her elected? At least when Bernie Sanders said it, because, at least when Bernie Sanders said it, you knew he was telling the fucking truth. At least when Bernie Sanders said, I support marijuana legalization, he was telling the fucking truth. You knew he was fucking telling the truth. When he said he was against racism, when he was against social injustice, this guy got arrested marching with Martin Luther King, for crying out loud. What the fuck? And yet somehow there's the Hillary camp got away with painting this guy as being the candidate for fake progressives on social issues. Here's a little bit of trivia for your Hillary supporter. African American millennials supported Bernie Sanders to the tune of 69%, higher than white millennials. Older Democrats who were African Americans supported Hillary. I just think it's amazing how the DNC, how these third-way corporatists who have wormed their way into the controls of the DNC, these so-called New Democrats, these DLCers, how they have essentially, what am I trying to say here? How they have essentially undermined I've lost my train of thought. I tell you, this primary season, this Democratic primary has made me so fucking angry at the Democratic Party, knowing that my vote, that my influence from my specific faction, the traditional support base of the Democratic Party, knowing that we get this much disdain from our party. I've been a Democrat for close to 10 years, 11 years, even though I've been a social democracy advocate for just as long. I've been a member of the Alabama Democratic Party for the past 10 years. And this shit pissed me off so bad, I called in and had them take my name off the DNC mailing list. I'm not going to support Hillary Clinton. I will not endorse her, even if Bernie Sanders finally said tomorrow, I endorse Hillary Clinton. I would not support Hillary Clinton in this election. For the same reason I supported Barack Obama in 2008, I supported Bernie Sanders this time around. Even though with Barack Obama it was a disappointment in a great many areas, though he held the line on some. And for those people who in the Hillary camp who want to sit there and bitch and moan, and I do mean bitch and moan like a bunch of goddamn crybabies, these are the same jackasses who were basically saying party unity my ass back when they had Hillary Clinton pulling the same shit, basically doing the same thing as Bernie Sanders is doing now. They loved it back when Hillary was doing it. But when Bernie Sanders or someone else does it, they lose their shit. The cognitive dissonance that these people have to go through to basically convince themselves that they were ever true fucking progressives. It's just amazing. And I know I'm singing a different tune from what my tune was in 2014, but now I understand the wisdom of M. Draw, and I'm sorry. I'm fucking sorry. This is my, I'm sorry that I spoke out against the Green Party. From now on, it's not going to be about whether you're a Democrat or not. It's the kind of Democrat really will matter. It'll be about whether or not you're a fucking progressive Democrat. It'll be about whether you're a progressive at all. If the Green Party candidate is the progressive, I'm voting for that candidate. Because if you vote for someone like Hillary or Rahm Emanuel, you might as well be voting for John McCain. You might as well be voting for Bob Dole or some other Republican. You might as well. I've changed my tune in the past couple of years because and I admit I was wrong. I should have just said, hey, support the most progressive candidate you think you can get behind from the get-go, because apparently the only way we're ever going to be able to get this country back for progressives is if we have a consistently progressive organization that can aid us in electing leaders who are progressives, who are real social democrats, liberals, progressives, whatever you call yourself. Democratic Socialist, hell, I'm a member of the Democratic Socialists of America. I'm a card-carrying member. I'm the local organizer here in Auburn, or at least one of them. Just I had no intention of voting for Hillary Clinton because this is the same woman who was basically using race baiting back in when she was running against Barack Obama in West Virginia and Pennsylvania. This is the same woman who was basically using the same rhetoric as the neocons back in 2008. I never forgot that. A lot of us who supported Bernie Sanders never forgot that. And how these assholes in the DNC ever thought that we would forget that shit in the age of the screenshot, in the age of YouTube, in the age of social media. It's like these assholes it's like these assholes within the upper echelons of the Democratic Party live in a world where they think the internet and social media aren't a thing. It's like they never really got the idea that if you say something, it's going to be on the internet forever and people are going to be able to look this shit up. So, between the shenanigans of the Democratic Party in Rhode Island, the 120-something thousand voters that were purged, Katherine Harris and Ken Blackwell and Karl Rove style in New York in the Brooklyn district, and in Brooklyn County, and the 2.8 million provisional ballots and butterfly ballots that went missing in California, and due to deliberate, and I do mean deliberate, misinformation given to poll workers in the Democratic primary in California. Oh yeah. Where they were telling poll workers that non-party preferential voters did not have a constitutional right to ask for a Democratic crossover ballot, when in fact they did. They misinformed poll workers, for crying out loud, so that they could disenfranchise millions of independent liberals and millennial voters. It's just between this and the shenanigans in Kentucky and Arizona and Nevada, you just gotta love these assholes who claim that oh yeah, well we treated you like garbage in the primaries, but we still expect you to get behind us, and we still expect you to come over and support us, because guess what? If you don't, Donald Trump will win. Yay! And you don't got nowhere to go because of it. Oh yeah, we do have somewhere to go. It's called Jill Stein. Yeah, I'll say it. I've said in the past, and you can look it up in my older video where I examined the benefits and the pros and cons of the Green Party versus the Democratic Progressive Caucus. And I have said that the Green Party probably wouldn't work, and I've even said that I have little respect for the Green Party. One reason, of course, being the fact that they're never really active in between presidential elections for whatever fucking reason. But understand, these assholes, they claim they want independence, they claim they want millennials to vote for them, but they marginalize the shit out of their votes. They literally take that idealism and step all over it, all to protect their own little privileges. And that's the problem with the Democratic leadership. That's the biggest problem with the so-called New Democrats. Aside from the fact that they can't win elections to save their life, because both in 1994 and in 2010 and 2014, they lost hundreds and hundreds of state and national level offices to the Republican Party. They've lost our majorities in the governorships. They'll talk a good game about saying, oh, you have to get behind Hillary because she's electable, even though their faction is the one faction of the Democratic Party that has lost more elections for Democrats than any other faction. They're real good at getting their own core adherents elected, like Rahm Emanuel to the Chicago mayorship and Bill Clinton to the presidency. But outside of those few elected offices, it's like the whole coalition is built around just making sure that this very narrow group of people get elected to these offices in places like New York and Chicago, even though these people are mostly Southern Democrats who basically went grifter and decided to move to another part of the country and take advantage of the fact that there was an open seat just so they can run, even though they have nothing in common with any of the locals, even though they're basically just bringing the same old bullshit, toothless Southern conservative Democrat bullshit to other parts of the countries, and basically diffusing that garbage throughout the Democratic Party as a whole, and making it where it can't really represent the traditional liberal base of the Democratic Party. You know, we're expected to get behind these people who are no damn good at winning and maintaining majorities, as has been proven in every single fucking election cycle they've had their hands on the wheel in. You know, and yet Hillary supporters across social media will say to me with a straight face, and I've had a lot of friends unfriend me, or I've had to block a lot of antagonistic motherfuckers who used to call themselves my friends because of this issue. And I know I've been quiet throughout this entire presidential primary. I was quiet on Facebook. I was quiet on YouTube because, hey, I didn't want to really rock the boat, because I for the first time in my life, I actually felt like we really shouldn't be fighting amongst ourselves. But when I started being at the other end of right-wing rhetoric from the so-called New Democrats camp, and from progressives who basically sold out to Hillary, or who basically got behind Hillary because she played the fear card, the fear of Trump thing, hey, I said, nope, can't do it anymore. Nope. Nope. Sorry. Not going to do it. Nope. Can't go with you on this one. I got to say what I have to say, and if you guys decide to block my ass, and you know what? I've gotten a lot of fucking verbal abuse from these people, and yet they're telling me, and every one of y'all out there, that you guys are the Tea Party of the left. How are we the Tea Party of the left? They're the ones using a $1 million political action committee spearheaded by David Brock, a Hillary surrogate, to attack our groups, correct the record, that's what the PAC is called, to attack us for criticizing her from the left. They're the ones who shut down our social media groups on Facebook using Tea Party tactics, and yet we're the fucking Tea Party of the left? Just because we want to hold our leadership to higher standards, just because we want to hold the supposedly progressive or nominally progressive elected officials to a higher standard, or hell, drag non-progressive Democrats in the direction of being progressives. We're the ones who are called the Tea Party of the left. Here's some news. I got a little bit of news for Hillary supporters. A little historical perspective. When the New Deal coalition ran the Democratic Party, we kept the majority of the governorships, the majority of state legislators across America being Democratic, and congressional majorities in the House and the Senate for close to 50 years. 50 years. The New Deal coalition worked. Their leadership worked for the Democratic Party. The New Democrats, they couldn't elect their way out of a paper bag, and yet they will tell us with a straight face to sit down, shut up, and take it up the ass and vote for whoever the hell they say. And that's not how it works, assholes. That's all I have to say to the Hillary camp. That's not how it works. You can't tell us to sit there and shut up and take it. Because, hey, we got alternatives, man. We don't have to vote for anyone for president. We can just get the ballot. We can just go to vote on the presidential elections. On election day, we go to vote. We can look at the ballot. We can mark everything but president, or write in Bernie Sanders or Jill Stein's on the ballot. Mark her name, and we don't have to vote for Hillary. We don't. The number of liberals in this country is the highest it's been in at least since the New Deal generation. All right. Since the greatest generation. We don't. I had one Hillary Hillbot. Yeah, I'll just call him a Hillbot. Him or her a Hillbot. Tell me with a straight face that, oh, progressives are inconsequential. We don't need them. You do during the general. We don't need them. We don't need progressives. So-called progressives, we don't need them. So you're basically telling the traditional base of the Democratic Party, going back all the way to the 1930s, to go eat crow. Do you know what would happen to a Republican who said that out loud? Do you know what would happen to a Republican who claimed that they didn't need the conservative vote? Hmm? Come on, I know it's in that little Hillbot brain of yours somewhere. Look at me, I'm talking to Hillary supporters aren't even there now. I've been dealing with my Hillary supporting friends offline too much. You know, it's kind of, you know, just everyone I talk to here in Alabama who claims they voted for the Democrat in the Democratic primary claims they either support Bernie Sanders' candidacy or voted for Bernie Sanders. So my question is, where are all these Hillary supporters if Hillary was supposed to have won the presidential the primaries here in Alabama? Where are they? Did they also pull the same shit here in Alabama that they pulled in California? I don't know, because I certainly ain't seeing many Hillary supporters outside of maybe Jeremy, and you know he'd support the hawkish third way candidate, even though he'll claim up and down that he's a ardent supporter of the policies of Western Europe and Canada till the fucking cows come home outside of say military endeavors. He'll still say, "Oh well, I support Hillary Clinton." You know, I just, oh man. But I'm just saying, the Hillary camp, these assholes have thrown shit so much. They're just like Republicans now. I've come to know that to realize that they're just like Republicans in that they'll throw shit until something sticks. And if it doesn't stick, hey, they'll insinuate something and then repeat it over and over again until it's true. Fear doesn't work on progressives. Fear doesn't work on liberals. Fear doesn't work on socialists. Fear doesn't work on democratic socialists or social democrats or Greens or liberal or left-leaning independents. It doesn't work on us the way it does on the right. But somehow, they think that if we are told that, oh, look, Hitler 2.0 is going to get elected, so what? Boss William Tweed is going to get elected. Boss William Tweed 2.0, that's basically what Hillary Clinton is. That's going to get elected. We're being given a choice between a piece of shit and a turd sandwich. Well, not that, just between a douche and a turd sandwich. Sorry, I messed up my South Park reference there, but so I think we really need to just start building a Green Party now. I wasn't for it before, but the last few years have taught me a valuable fucking lesson. And that's that if we don't start building a Green Party, and believe me, Jill Stein, she's got some notoriety. She's actually gotten a lot of press comparatively for a Green Party candidate. And in the age of social media, if we can build Bernie Sanders up as much as we've had him from being a relative unknown from Vermont, a relative unknown independent from Vermont, to being someone who nearly toppled the Clinton machine and cinched the nomination of the Democratic Party. If we can do that, there's no excuse why we can't build up a progressive Green Party candidate through social media. There's no reason why we can't build up a real, truly viable alternative to the Democratic Party that we can use to either vote for or to scare Democrats into being progressive to keep their traditional base. I mean, if they want to play the fear game, fine. You know, two can play at this game. Hell, we don't even need to play the fear game. Just straight out use the Green Party from now on exclusively. Don't even use the Democratic Party anymore unless we really have to. Again, that being said, I have a real progressive Bernie supporter as my congressional candidate this time around on the Democratic Party ticket, which in Alabama is practically unheard of. But I understand that, like Josh Segal, he might only get 48% of the vote against the Republican candidate. But hey, I will I will vote for and support that guy till the bitter end, you know. So I guess that's all I really have to say on this video. I mean, it was a long rant. You know, it was a long rant. I've been quiet on YouTube and social media. I've been tired as hell because I've had to work so damn much for the past few months, and I just haven't really had it in me to do anything with my YouTube account. And I probably lost a lot of my original support because of it. But, you know, I saw Mike Thackett. He came back, and I said, you know, at some point I said to myself, yeah, eventually I'm going to have to come back too, because the 2016 Democratic presidential primaries have pissed me off more than what the Democratic Party overlords did to Howard Dean back in 2004. We all remember that shit, back when he was running as the anti-war candidate, and John Kerry was basically rammed down our throats, you know, because the DLC Paul Begulas and Bob Shrums of the world basically got together, gave each other a high five, and said, "Yeah, let's fuck this shit up. Let's fuck this guy over." And again, I'm not defending Howard Dean anymore either, because I mean, the guy did pull a Hillary Clinton and sold out to the pharmaceutical industry and the healthcare industry as soon as he lost his position as the DNC chair. So, which, you know, I will say that whatever deal that Barack Obama made, that his campaign made with the Hillary camp back in 2008 behind closed doors, so that where she was told that she could one day be president after he's had his run, the Democratic Party base, the traditional base of the Democratic Party, independent liberals, millennials who weren't old enough to vote yet, hardline progressives, we never agreed to that decision. We never agreed to that deal. We make up our own damn minds. And I'll be damned if I see my party drug any further to the right than it is. The line is drawn here. It stops here. It goes no further. Green Party, we either elect the progressive candidate from now on, regardless of what party he's from, even if it's a third party or independent candidate, we vote for it. If it's a Democrat, fine, we'll vote for that. But we're not going to vote based on party lines. As Marcus Molitzes Zunego once said, when he and Jeremy Armstrong were getting the liberal netroots off the ground in spring of 2005, the Democratic Party and progressivism are not one and the same. The Democratic Party must never become an end unto itself. It is a means to an end. We need to find new means. I am Active Asshole on Roids. Peace out, everybody.